Hey, this is episode 4 of the Getting to Ramen podcast. So I wanted to talk through some of my thoughts on this whole no-code movement. For the most part, I think it's awesome. Sorry, so to clarify, the no-code movement, there's all these great tools out there like Bubble, and Bubble is one of them. And I mean, WebFlow is a good example of these are tools where you can build out applications or products or whatever, and you don't really need to code. And I think it's great for the most part. But the one problem I have with it is it goes against kind of the most important part of being an indie hacker or being an entrepreneur, and it's and I learned about this most important skill set or exercise from an entrepreneur local here that here in Langley, Canada. There's a guy that I met, and he's very wealthy. He's done very well for himself. He's launched, he sold his first company and then used that money to start a company that, and I don't even know how much money he's made, but he used that first company, the sale, to fund a much larger company. And I haven't talked to him about talking about him. I haven't talked to him about talking about him on this podcast. So I'm not going to be any more specific than that. But essentially, he's like multi-millionaire. And I got a chance to just like ask him what it took to get there. And what I got from it, what he felt was his superpower, was that he was able to learn whatever it took to make his company grow. So at the beginning, it's, you started a company, you wear a lot of different hats. He just learned whatever he needed to, and he said that his dad was not nearly as successful because his pride would keep him from admitting what he wasn't good at, and so basically he just said he learned from his dad's mistakes, and he decided, I'm going to learn whatever it takes, and I think that's the difference. That's the very specific, important difference between an entrepreneur or a starter or a maker and managers or CEOs or someone who runs a business is, and sometimes they can be the same person, have the same skill set, but for the most part, the differentiator is if you're starting a company and you're building something from scratch, what you're good at and what you have to be good at is picking up anything, learning anything, because you don't have a team. You can't just, especially in a bootstrap situation, you can't just farm out or delegate out some of the work that you're not good at or that you don't want to do. You just have to learn whatever it takes to get your thing off the ground. And that, I feel, is with this whole no code thing, I see a lot of entrepreneurs on. Oh, I just got interrupted with the check-in call from the company I work for, so I got to get on that check-in. But to wrap up what I was saying, the problem with this no code thing is I see a lot of entrepreneurs who are avoiding having to learn to code. And that's not why these tools are so great. These tools are great because you can prototype, get something off the ground. But if but the mentality of I need to learn whatever it takes still has to be there. And it can't be, if you think that, if your reason for using these tools is to avoid learning or to avoid, to try and get over the hurdle of whatever it takes. If it's the avoidance, then you're going to run into other walls that these solutions can't fix. And so it's the mindset of I'm going to learn whatever it takes. That's so important for an entrepreneur or an indie hacker. So that's my whole thing with the no code solutions. It's like, use it for prototyping. That's awesome. But it's not so that you can avoid doing work or avoid getting your hands dirty or avoid having to learn, whatever. Like, you need to be able to learn, because at the next phase, if it is successful, you're going to have to rebuild it. And you can outsource things. You can outsource work, but if you don't have a deep understanding of how the application is built, that can be difficult. And you may not have the money to outsource it. So you may need to rebuild it yourself. Like with Upscribe, I came to an infrastructure issue long before I was making enough money. I'm still not making enough money to work on it full time. But it was only a few weeks before, because the forms that Upscribe builds, they're embedded in an iframe on blogs, on Medium. Some of the forms were being embedded by companies that were getting millions of hits. So all of a sudden, my dinky little plugin was getting so much traffic that I needed to learn infrastructure, learn DevOps to keep the servers running on a project that was only making like $1,000 a month. And I couldn't have done that with a no-code solution. It would have just been done. Like, okay, this can't handle it anymore. I guess it's over. Start something else. But because I was willing to learn, and because I knew I had to exercise the skill set of like whatever it takes. That's how I was able to get through that. So that was my thing.